Previously on Transformers Prime.
The cons are back. Cliff might be neck deep in scrap.
Cliff Jumper's life signal just went offline.
As of today, only we 5 Autobots remain on this Earth.
Hello everyone and welcome to this special Transformers Prime 10th anniversary throwback review. In today's review I'm going to be taking a look at 4 of the main Autobots from Season 1, excluding Optimus Prime, as I have already taken a look at him in a throwback video. This video here is in order to celebrate Transformers Prime turning 10 years old today. I cannot believe that it has been 10 years since potentially one of the best Transformers animated shows of all time debuted, I believe on the Hub, although in the UK, I remember watching it on Cartoon Network. Transformers Prime for me, as many of you will know if you've been long-time viewers of the channel, was one of the first ever introductions I ever had to the Transformers franchise. Transformers Prime, as well as the live-action Michael Bay movies, are really my versions of G1, and both of those continuities do hold very special places in my heart. So to learn that Transformers Prime turned 10 years today, I had to do something in order to celebrate. So in this review, we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers RID Deluxe Class Arcee, the Transformers Prime RID Deluxe Class Ratchet, the first edition Transformers Prime Bumblebee, and of course the first edition Transformers Prime Bulkhead. As mentioned previously, I won't be taking a look here at Optimus Prime, as I have already previously taken a look at him over on the channel not that long ago. So without further ado, we have a lot to cover. Let's kick things off here with none other than Arcee. What a fantastic design. I personally don't believe that any redesign has resonated so well with fans like Arcee did. She was a major departure from any incarnation that we had ever previously seen for the character. Gone were her original G1 pink colours and her Princess Leia styled buns, and here we had this brand new version of Arcee, which in my opinion was so much cooler in design than compared to the G1 version. Not only was the character design fantastic, but I believe that the character development as well as the amazing voice acting really did help in order to make this version of Arcee potentially one of the best we have ever gotten for the characters. Taking a look firstly here in her bike mode, once again a really nice representation of the bike that we did see in the animation show. You can see that it has been completely cast in this fantastic metallic blue plastic, and at the front we've got this lighter shade of blue here for this front visor section as well as where the front headlights would be. We've also got some amazing detail such as some dials here on the actual handlebar sections. We've got the brakes, we've got all of this fantastic sculpt work going on here for the handle as well as the seating area. When we get her into robot mode, believe me, that is where this figure to me really does shine. But you can see there that we've got some amazing silver rims painted as well as her stand here, which can of course be retracted in order for you to actually roll the figure along the ground. I think that Hasbro did an exceptional job with this particular figure. Now there was originally the first edition Arcee, which I do own. However, unfortunately a couple years back it did take a shelf dive and the actual crest section did snap clean off. So in this video I only really wanted to show you characters and figures that were 100% complete. So here we have the RID version of Arcee, and for those of you who never picked up the first edition and managed to pick this figure up, I think that you were left with a really nice looking figure. Personally for me, I've always believed that the first edition representation was the best that we've ever gotten for the character, but the RID one still is a fantastic figure. Now in terms of articulation for this mode, she did actually have a swivel joint here at the front wheel in order for you to get her into some slightly more realistic poses like we see in the actual show when she's stationary, when Jack is working at the drive-thru, or perhaps if she's incognito spying on Decepticons. We of course can roll both of her wheels here, which is fantastic, and she of course comes with 2 accessories, so very quickly bringing them here into the equation. She did come with this massive blaster, which was very inaccurate to the show. For those of you who will recall, she only did have these tiny blasters that would flip out of her hands, and they were nowhere near the size of this huge behemoth. But you can see that the sculpt work as well as the colour of plastic that it has been moulded in is certainly a nice homage to her original 2 blasters. We of course do get one of her more iconic weapons, that being one arm blade, and the sculpt work as well as the paint applications on this in my opinion look absolutely tremendous. So without further ado, let's transform Arcee into her robot mode. So to begin with, you're going to want to fold up the stand here like so. Take these sections and just fold these here out to the sides. Of course, repeat the same process here on the opposite side. Transforming all of these characters into their vehicle modes was incredibly nostalgic for me, as some of these characters I haven't picked up in many years, especially that first edition Bumblebee and Bulkhead. You're then going to want to pull this up, snap that into place, and that was actually the gimmick of this line, that these figures had this almost auto morph. So just to very quickly demonstrate that, you can see that here for bike mode her head is compressed, but as you fold this section out, it springs up and snaps into place, which is so awesome. You're then of course going to want to split the legs here. Take this section and fold this here all the way up to the top, and of course repeat the same process here on the opposite side. Just fold those ball joints around accordingly. Take this section and bring this here to the back. Take the wheel, and that will just rest there. And there we have Arcee fully transformed up into her robot mode, and once again looking absolutely tremendous. I really do believe that this is one of the best redesigns that we have ever gotten for a character, and as mentioned earlier on in the review, not only was the redesign fantastic, but I think that the actual personality as well as the voice acting of this character helped in order to make this character here resonate really well with fans. For me, this was my version of Arcee. I was a little too young to actually grow up with the Michael Bay version of Arcee, and of course she didn't have all that much screen time, so this here was really my first interaction with the character, and this will always be my version. Taking a look here at her head sculpt, you can see that in my opinion Hasbro captured the appearance of the character so well. We've got the silver metallic paintwork there for the faceplate as well as the sections around her head. Of course the crest there has been picked out in silver with some really nice red detailing. You can see that her eyes are indeed glowing. That's because she has a massive piece of light piping there at the back, which once again I believe just helps to bring this character to life. You can see that the overall design is so streamlined and elegant and really matches her appearance in the show. Of course this figure isn't without its flaws, such as the huge wings that we do get here on the back. Despite her having a design which was fairly similar to this in the show, they were slightly shorter, but seeing as this is a deluxe class, I think that Hasbro did a commendable job. In terms of her articulation, we do get a ball joint here at the head which can rotate the full 360 as well as look up and down. Ball joints here at the arms as well as here at the elbows, and of course here at the wrists. No waist rotation, but the legs can kick forwards that far, back that far, of course out to the sides. Rotation here at the upper thigh as well as a well past 90-degree range of motion here only on a single hinge joint, and unfortunately we don't get any form of ankle rocker pivot, but overall still a really nice figure. And just very quickly showing you how she looks whilst holding some of her weapons, you can just take the pegs here, snap that into her arm, and it does really look like it has formed out of her hand, much like we saw in the show. However, of course it should be much shorter than this, and then we can just take her arm blade here, snap that into the side, and of course she's ready to take on Black Arachnid or any of the other Decepticons. Setting her here off to the side and taking a look at the grumpy Autobot medic Ratchet. Ratchet here was once again another really well designed character, sticking truthful to his original G1 colour scheme, that being a red and white ambulance. This was a major departure from what I was used to with the green Ratchet from the Michael Bay movies. However, due to the amazing voice acting as well as the character development on the show, this version of Ratchet really once again become one of my favourite interpretations of the character, and this here was one of the only Ratchet figures that we actually got based on his appearance from the Transformers Prime show. I am aware that there was a Beast Hunters version, however that was more of a concept design. This was one of the only Transformers Prime Ratchet figures, and it was really well done. You can see that in terms of an ambulance, it certainly captures the look of the character model. Taking a look here at the back, you can see that we've got some fantastic sculpt work as silver paint, and then as we take a look here to the underside, we've got his weapons really nicely stored, and just pulling those out, these are indeed his blades in order to recreate the scene where Megatron meets his Doctor of Doom. That was one of my favourite scenes of Ratchet from the Transformers Prime show when he fought Megatron. Of course he failed miserably, but it was just such a brave scene, and once again really solidified Ratchet as being one of my favourite characters. In terms of Ratchet's transformation, it's actually quite complex from what I can remember. So to begin with, you're basically just going to want to take this front section here and separate this. We can then take these pieces and extend this here all the way to the front. Just take this and shift this whole section here forwards. Of course, repeat the exact same process here on the opposite side, so just lift this entire section up here. You're then going to want to take this, rotate this around, which I believed back in the day was some fantastic engineering. You can see how the entire foot does swivel out. We can then bring down the front section of the foot and then fold out the heel spur. Of course, repeat the same process here on the opposite side, and then now it's just a matter of bringing this section down, and then you're going to want to take this transparent peg here and snap it into this slot alongside Ratchet's legs, so just clip that in there nice and securely. Of course, come here to this side and repeat the exact same process, so just bring this up and clip that in there. I would really love Hasbro to do a revisit on some of these Transformers Prime figures. It's of course amazing to get some updated versions of the G1 characters. However, I myself and I know many other fans would love to get updated versions of the Armada characters, the Transformers Prime characters, and even some Transformers animated characters. I really think that could be a goldmine for Hasbro, and it's something that I actually hope we see in the future once the War for Cybertron trilogy does end. Just bring the arms out here to the sides. Bring this entire section around as well. This also was one of the revealer gimmicks, so you bring this section here back and Ratchet's head springs into action, and then this here just rests along the side. We can then fold out the wrists, bring this here all the way around, snap that nice and securely into place. Of course, repeat the same process. And there we have our Doctor of Doom Autobot Ratchet fully transformed up into his robot mode. And once again, another really nice looking figure here for Hasbro. This was one of their first opportunities to actually approach the character design of TF Prime Ratchet, and I think that they did a really nice job. Taking a look here at the head sculpt, once again, similarly to Arcee, we do have a really nice piece of light piping there at the back, which when you do actually get light shining through it, really does bring the character to life. We've got some exceptional detailings going along here for the torso. I love how this design was very G1 inspired, however was updated. I think that it really did resonate rather well with me, and I'm pretty sure many other fans. You can see that we've got some nice details here on the shoulders. I think that the proportions there for the arms have come out really nicely, as well as here for the legs, considering that this is made up of mostly vehicle mode kibble. I think that it has come out rather nicely. In terms of articulation, Ratchet does have a ball joint here at the head, ball joints at the arms, as well as a rotation here at the bicep, double jointed elbows due to the nature of the transformation. The wrists can hinge in and out due to the way that you actually integrate the weapons in. Full 360 rotation here at the waist, the legs can kick forwards that far, back that far, out that far, rotation at the thigh, as well as a 90-degree bend here at the knee, and that just about wraps it up here for articulation. Very quickly showing you how the weapons do install. You just want to rotate the wrists in just like this, and then we can bring out the blades, and these basically do just snap over the top like so. I believe that this one here should go on this side. So just snap that in there. And of course, here we have the Doctor of Doom ready to take on Megatron, and of course to fail miserably at it, but so awesome. I'll never forget the scene where Ratchet and Optimus Prime are completely surrounded by the resurrected Decepticons that Megatron used Dark Energon in order to restore them. I just thought that it was such an awesome scene to see two Autobots take on an entire zombified Decepticon army. Such a fantastic character here with Ratchet. Moving along now to some of the first edition figures. These here were really where I think Hasbro's bread and butter were. These were some of the best figures that I actually do own in the collection, and that here is the first edition Optimus Prime. Not to take anything away from the mainline RID figures, I just think that the engineering here was a lot more complex than compared to these characters, which you're about to see. So taking a look here at Bumblebee, the character of Bumblebee from TF Prime was actually quite similar to what we had seen with the Michael Bay movies. This version of Bumblebee was mute. I believe he did speak very similarly to R2-D2, and of course in the finale season 3 he did get his voice back, which was super cool, and his vehicle mode was very reminiscent to that of a yellow Camaro. So once again, I was always a massive fan of this version of Bumblebee, especially his actual character design. Taking a look here at the details, some amazing contrasts here with the black, yellow and blue. As you can see there, we've got some subtle details of orange, and I think that the detail and the sculpt work come out really nicely there. We've got the engine block, which has been sculpted, as well as Bumblebee's classic stripes. These, in my opinion, look so awesome with the transparent blue plastic, silver painted rims, all of which are pinned on wheels, none of the cheap peg-on wheels that we are used to with some of the more modern day Transformers figures. And as we take a look here at the back, the rear lights have been painted, and you can see the exhaust pipes clearly sculpted. Of course, this figure can roll along the ground with ease due to him having pinned on wheels, and he only comes with one accessory, which is one blaster. I wish that he maybe had come with two, but taking a look there, the sculpt work is very, very nicely done, and the colour is actually a perfect match for what we see in the show. Turning to first edition Bumblebee's transformation, as mentioned before, he's a little bit more advanced than some of the RID characters. So to begin with, you're just going to want to take the doors here and separate this entire back section here just like so. The legs are actually one of the more simpler steps of the conversion. You're going to want to take where this knee pad is and lift this here all the way up. Once again, very stiff joint on this figure. Maybe we should bring this out. It has been many years since I've actually converted these. Bring this here all the way to the back, and of course just take this and fold that in like so. Flip out the front toe here for Bumblebee. Of course, repeat the exact same process here on the opposite side. Fold that section out, snap this piece in here like so. Now we proceed to work on the upper torso, and this is certainly where things get a little bit more complex. You're going to want to separate this section here from the doors, just bring those out, and then come to this section, snap all of this down and extend this all. It definitely does look as if though Bumblebee has exploded. Bring this section here out, of course, come to this section and repeat the exact same process. Fold all of this out, then bring this piece down, and this is where the conversion gets really interesting and certainly very sophisticated. So you're going to want to take this piece here, rotate this section here around. I believe it had to go around like this, and then this piece here would come around also. So very sophisticated. Then bring this section out so that it is at an angle, as this tab will actually peg into this slot. So bring this section here all the way down until it snaps nice and securely into place. You can see how we do have these slight rivets here. These are actually going to peg into some slots under here. So just bring this section here up and over, fold down the windscreen to the back, which will allow for some clearance for that to snap in. Of course, repeat the same process. Take these sections and just straighten those out, and repeat the same process here on the opposite side. And then this, I believe, is supposed to tuck underneath, and then just rotate the arms around. Take this here and this will snap into place. Bring the arm down. Repeat the exact same process here on the opposite side. Take the door wings, fold that up, angle them in the classic Michael Bay / Transformers Prime way. And here we have first edition Bumblebee fully transformed up. And I'm sure you'll all agree with me in saying that this was one of the best Bumblebee designs that we have gotten in many years. And not to mention this being an amazing, amazing figure. I'm just absolutely in love with this Bumblebee. Once again, light piping still remains, and you can see that with the light shining through it, it really does bring this character to life. I would love if Hasbro could try and find a way to successfully implement light piping into all of their figures. But taking a look at the details, the head sculpt just screams TF Prime Bumblebee. I think that the way that the proportions look there for the torso is very athletic in terms of its design, very muscular, and of course very elegant. As we take a look here at the back, we've got the door wings. The torso, I think, has come out really nicely with some exceptional sculpt work. The Autobot insignia, the legs too, have all come out really nicely. In terms of articulation, ball joint here at the head, which can look up and down. Of course, rotate the full 360. Arms can move up and down at a rather weird angle. They can actually hinge downwards as well for you to get that type of range of motion if you so desired. We of course do get ball joints here, as well as rotation at the forearm, hinge joints for the wrists, waist rotation, which is fantastic. Legs can kick forwards that far, back that far out to the sides, as well as a 90-degree bend there at the knee. And in terms of weapon implementation, of course, we can take his blaster and have him flip out one of the arm cannons, much like we saw in the show. So once again, another fantastic looking Bumblebee figure, and you can see that we've only got Bulkhead left to go, and what a team the original Transformers Prime lot were. And so taking a look here at the final Autobot that I'll be reviewing in today's video, here we have Bulkhead, just setting the other Autobots here off to the side, as of course Bulkhead is a very large character. Here we have him in his massive looking, heavily armoured looking truck mode. I think this was a truck, some kind of pickup truck, I'm not entirely sure, but very awesome in terms of its design. And I remember many occasions where Bulkhead would ram into Decepticons even in his vehicle mode. He was a formidable force in both alt mode and robot mode, and was one of the more lovable characters of the show, and captured here in the first edition Voyager class line. I think that Hasbro once again did a fantastic job. You can see here for the front section, really nice looking gunmetal paint apps here for this front section here. We've got the headlights, which have been painted with some silver paint apps behind them. Taking a look at the rims, you can see the sculpt work is so nice. And something worth noting is that for a Voyager, he was so substantial. These figures feel so blocky, so high quality. I would love if we could have got some of the modern figures done back in the old 2010, 2011 era, as I think they could potentially be some of the best. My main critique with some of the modern day figures is that the engineering certainly seems to be there. It's just sometimes the materials are lacking. However, from the most recent War for Cybertron trilogy, they do appear to be going back to the high quality of plastic that we were used to back in the day. Taking a look here at the rear section, you can see some nice red paint apps there for the tail lights, as well as this silver section. And even here at the top, you can see we've got some fantastic sculpt work. So in all, a really nice looking vehicle mode here for Bulkhead. Let's get down to transformation. So as mentioned previously, this is the first edition version, so it's a little bit more complex than the RID version. But to begin with, you're going to want to take the legs, split those, and just fold the toes out like so. Flip the heel spur out, flip that section out also, come here to this side, and of course repeat the exact same process. What we can then do is come to this entire back section, and I recommend lifting this here all the way up. Take this here, lift this up also. We can then bring all of this out to the side, just loosen all that up. These figures had amazing engineering. I know that's something that I keep going on about in this video, but honestly, they were some of the best figures that we have ever gotten, in my opinion. What we can then do is just bring these out like so, and you can see, look, they've even got spring-loaded arm panels so that they compress for vehicle mode and extend for robot mode. That, once again, is such a nice touch. You're going to want to take this top section and this lower section and extend it on this joint here. That will then allow us to work on this main torso section. So for this, you're going to want to take these front pieces here and just lift these here all the way up, And of course, repeat the same process here for this side. With that now done, we can bring this down, and you can see that we have a tab here that will peg into this slot. So snap that in there nice and securely. This here will come over the top and click nicely into place. Bring these sections out and just give them a slight angle in order to give him a little bit more of a transform look. Of course, repeat the same process here for the opposite side. Tabs and slots here and here, so just snap this here. I believe that maybe the torso should be untabbed for this so that we have a little bit more clearance with that. So just untab this, snap this in, and then bring this section here down. And then, of course, click that into place. We can then bring the doors over the top, and I loved how they actually replicated the layered look that Bulkhead's torso did have in the show. This figure had an amazing looking vehicle mode and an equally as amazing looking robot mode. Bring the arms up and over, and I recommend hinging them here upwards, as that will allow you to bring this section here back. And of course, repeat the same process. And here, if I recall correctly, there are tabs which will peg into some slots. I'm not entirely sure as to where they are. It's actually this section. So just bring the head up all the way. Snap that into place. This here will come down. You can see two tabs here and here that will peg into these two slots. So bring that down accordingly until that is nice and aligned up. We can then bring these sections, and you can see those tabs that I was referring to earlier on. These are going to peg into these slots here, and we can then flip out the back wheels. Come here to this side, and of course repeat the same process. Snap that in, flip this section out, rotate around here now to the front, fold out Bulkhead's wrists, rotate here at the bicep, angle that down, compress the shoulder pad. Of course, repeat the same process here on the opposite side, and here we have first edition Bulkhead fully transformed up into his robot mode, looking as if though he's just stepped straight off of the screen and into my review station. This honestly could be one of my favourite Transformers figures of all time. I think that the level of engineering, as well as how screen accurate he was in both robot mode and vehicle mode, to me is mind-blowing. We went from that very bulky truck, however, was rather streamlined when compared to this amazing, very large design, especially there for Bulkhead's torso. Taking a look at the details, you can see that we've got Bulkhead's lovable head sculpt with the mouth plate, as well as some fantastic sculpt work and blue eyes. As we take a look here at the main torso section, of course, Bulkhead was on the larger side of life. However, I think that Hasbro have done the character justice. As we take a look here at the shoulders, you can see how the rear end of the vehicle does store there on the shoulder pads. Once again, the design here for the arms, very elegant. Even here for the fingers, you can see that we've got some exceptional looking sculpt work. Really nice sculpt work here for the lower section of the torso. And as we take a look here at the legs, they're very short and stubby. However, once again, very accurate to what we see in the show. Despite Bulkhead being on the larger side, he does have some fantastic articulation. So ball joint here at the head, which can look up and down, rotate left to right. Full 360 rotation here at the arms. Of course, we can hinge those out to the side as well. Rotation at the bicep, 90-degree bend there at the elbow. No waist rotation, however, ratchet joints here at the legs, which can click forwards that far as well as back that far. You can, of course, do the splits, full 360 rotation here at the thigh, as well as a double joint here for the knee due to the transformation. So overall, in terms of articulation as well as detail and accuracy to the show, I think that this is my favourite out of the entire bunch, and Optimus Prime is one of the best figures as well. In terms of accessories, you can actually fold his wrists in like this in order to give you the illusion that he has just deployed his blasters. This was certainly the look that we did see in the show. However, I do believe that they were much larger, but the one accessory that Bulkhead here does come with is, of course, his wrecking ball, and the sculpt work as well as the paintwork on this, in my opinion, has come out really nicely, and you can just snap that in there, and Bulkhead here is ready to crush some Decepticons with Miko. Such an amazing figure, and I thoroughly enjoyed taking a throwback look here at the original Season 1 Transformers Prime Autobot cast. And so that was my Transformers Prime 10th anniversary throwback celebration video. I really do hope that you enjoyed this video. I know that many of you do enjoy these throwback reviews, so I'm really hoping that you enjoyed taking a look at not one but 4 of the Transformers Prime Autobot members. I would love to know down in the comment section below your thoughts on any of these figures, and please be sure to let me know if you actually own any of these figures still, or whether or not that after this video you're going to be tracking them down. I'd also love to know down in the comments what you thought of Transformers Prime and what throwback reviews you would like me to do in the future. I do have a Decepticon themed Transformers Prime throwback video, very similar to what we did here with Megatron, Starscream, Soundwave, and of course Shockwave, Dreadwing, Skyquake, and even Unicron. So if you would love to see that video, also be sure to let me know down below, and until my next video, I'll see you then. Thank you so much for watching.